Hello there, interwebs. I am the Bechtloff, and this is, of course, my podcast. And before I get into my topics today, I just found out this past Monday, I guess it was Monday, um, that one of the teachers I had in high school, one of the very few good ones, a good teacher and a good man, is suffering from very advanced Alzheimer's. And he's only 50. It's a damn shame. Um, I can't imagine a worse fate in this world than that disease. I think if I was ever diagnosed with it, I'd be putting my gun in my mouth. But um, he meant a lot to me. He was a damn good teacher. Again, a damn good man. I wrote a little tribute to him on my blog. And I found out that there's a fundraiser set up for his family for the no doubt crushing medical bills they're going to have. Probably a nursing home at some point. It's anyways. There, like I said, charity set up. And I'm not one to pimp charities on this podcast. I'm never gonna be. I'm not gonna be. Oh, save the whales and feed the children and feed the children to the whales. No, that's not. That's not what I do on this podcast. But if you've enjoyed my podcast, if you've enjoyed my blog, if I've given you entertainment, I would consider it a favor to me to throw a couple of bucks in that fund. I think they're selling t-shirts, but you don't have to get a t-shirt. You could just throw $1 or two or $5. I don't know. It's just whatever. I would consider it a favor. I would appreciate it. And so yeah, consider that my tip jar I'm holding out. I'll have a link to it down in the description. All right, with that out of the way, I know my last podcast I talked about E3. I talked about specifically mostly the Nintendo stuff in it and why I think Nintendo killed it at E3. They just dominated. And I said in the podcast I intended to get a Wii U, but it'll be when budget allows. It's not going to be tomorrow. Well, as it turned out, it was the next day. I went out and got a Wii U. I took a look at my funds. It was, I had the money. I wanted it, so I got it. And it wasn't until Friday that I got it with Mario Kart 8, which is a fantastic game. But it wasn't until Friday that I finally got to play it. Because holy shit, was this a nightmare. I got this thing set up, and it wouldn't play any Wii U games. It would play some of my old Wii games, and the system seemed to be booting up fine, and the disc seemed fine. So I thought, the disc must be bad. And of course the store I got it at, it being Sunday, and in this area at least, Sunday hours are a joke. Noon to 5 I think they're open, so the store was already closed. So I went back the next day, brought the disc in, said I believe the disc it looks fine, but I think it must be busted because system seems to be fine, plays Wii games. And they were like, well, we want to try the disc out in a Wii U here, so let us do that real quick. Try it out, the disc works fine there. I'm like, well shit, I guess the system's fucked up. I guess I gotta bring that back. And he said, it might need an update. I'm like, what the hell you mean it needs an update? It's right out of the damn box. It's a game it came with. Why would it need an update to play it? He goes, well, you might have to go online and update it. I'm like, I don't have it hooked up to online. I don't really give a damn about playing online games. I really don't. Like I love Mario Kart and I love playing Mario Kart with my friends. But I want my friends to come over and we'll play Mario Kart. We'll get a pizza or something like that. Get a couple beers, a couple sodas, whatever, and we'll sit around and play Mario Kart for the evening. I don't want to race a 10-year-old in Korea. I don't give a damn about that. And I don't want to, we're going to play with our friends, but we're all going to sit in our dark basement. No, I don't like that. I don't like that crap. I have no interest in online game. I don't like the virtual console games, even though some of them I'm interested in, just because I have this aversion to not having a physical copy, because you don't really own it. You're just renting it, is all it boils down to. Until your account is expired or your system perhaps, whatever. If you don't have a physical copy, you don't own it. So I haven't been drawn to the virtual console stuff. I've had no interest in the online things. I want to hook my game system up, put the game in, and play it. That's all I want to do. So I didn't have it hooked up to the internet. Well, I guess I had to get this update. So I go home, and all I had was a cable modem because I just have the one computer hooked up to the internet. But I can't hook it up to a cable modem. I have to hook it up to a Wi-Fi. Well, I don't have Wi-Fi, so I got to call my cable company, which is my internet provider, and get a Wi-Fi router. That's going to take like a week. So I call up the store. I call up the store again. I said, "Guys, can you do something for me?" He goes, "Well, bring your system in, and we'll update it for you. We'll hook it up to our internet. Update it for you." In the meantime, at one point in this adventure, I had called Nintendo customer service. And I said, like, "Is this just going to be a thing? Am I going to have to keep doing this?" She's like, "Yeah, you're going to need to periodically hook up to the internet to update it." And I go, "But I don't have a Wi-Fi thing." He's like, "You have internet but not a Wi-Fi?" Like, fuck you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I use a fucking wire. I guess I'm some sort of caveman. Now, here's the problem I have with this. And I try to explain this to some of my gamer friends, like, "Why don't you just get the internet on it?" I resent being fucking forced to get that. Because, first of all, again, it's right out of the box. It's a game it came with. There's no fucking reason it should need an update for that. There's no fucking reason. But more to the point, imagine this analogy for a minute. Imagine you went and you got yourself a brand new Chevy. Which I would never do because I have no interest in buying a government motors product. But for the sake of argument, you do. And, GM's big thing is OnStar. And they're like, "Would you like to sign up for OnStar?" And you're like, "No, I don't want OnStar." "Well, it's only so-and-so a month." "Well, I don't want it." "Well, okay, but your car's not going to work." "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, you have to get an update every once in a while from OnStar to make your car work." I'm like, "What?" And then they'd be like, "Well, I mean, if you don't want to do OnStar, you could bring your car into the dealer and upgrade it." Everyone would think that was horseshit, and rightfully so. But everyone's fine with being forced to hook your video game consoles up to the internet to get these fucking upgrades. And I know, the upgrades are free, and you don't have to sign up for their accounts, or whatever. I don't like being forced on it. I don't like having this shit forced on me. I just fucking don't. And you know what? I expect that kind of bullshit from Sony and Microsoft. That's the name of their game. Alright? Their customer base, especially Microsoft right now, is the fucking idiots who want the newest, best, brightest thing. They don't give a damn how creatively bankrupt these games are. "Oh, the graphics are amazing." I expect that from Sony and Microsoft. I fucking expect better from Nintendo. I really do. So, finally, I get the damn thing sorted. I get it playing. And I got Mario Kart 8 with it. I also got Super Luigi game, the new Luigi game, which I haven't really had a chance to play. I think I played like 2 levels on it. But Mario Kart is fucking fantastic. It really is. It's every bit as great as if you've seen reviews, everybody's raving about it. Everybody's like, "This game's great." The only real flaw I have is battle mode is really weak, which I haven't had a chance to play it with a friend, but I've seen I've seen reviews and they say that battle mode, you're not in an arena, you're in a race, like you're in one of the racetracks in battle mode, which is just stupid. Other than that, I mean, the graphics are amazing. The anti-gravity game mechanic on it is fantastic. Everything about it's just great so far. And again, I've only been playing it for 2 days, even though I've had the system for a week now. But so far, it's just great. I absolutely love the damn thing. I don't like how I feel like I got boned. I don't like being forced this crap forced on me. I don't want it. I have no interest in it. It's just another thing they force on you. Another reason you gotta have another fucking monthly bill. It's bullshit. It really is. So the other thing this week that was everybody's talking about was the ordeal with the Redskins, which I'm sure you know by now. The Redskins had their patent taken away by the patent office, which is ridiculous if for no other reason alone than how many other sports teams have Indian mascots. Why aren't their patents gone? But whatever. Um, Aaron Clary had a really good article too, on how the negative, well, not an article, basically a blog post. Yeah, it was kind of short, not a full on lengthy article, so it's not going to take you forever to read. But he basically points out that this is going to have massive negative effects on copyright law in this country for a long time, the likes of which we can probably scarcely imagine. Now, on one level, I wanted to ignore this story because I don't give a damn about football. I really don't. I don't really watch much professional sports to begin with, and the only ones I really do watch are like hockey and basketball, really fast-paced ones. Football's, I don't have the attention span for it, I guess. I don't, every time I watch it, it seems like it takes a half an hour to play 2 minutes worth of game, taking a timeout every two seconds. I don't have the attention span for it. I don't have the patience for it. And frankly, when I was younger, I used to love The Simpsons a lot, Futurama a lot. I love Family Guy. I love all those Fox shows on Sunday night. So to me, football has historically just been that thing that preempts the shows I like. So I don't give a damn about football. So part of me wanted to ignore this story. But it is a major. It's an affront on free speech. It completely undermines copyright laws. But something occurred to me that this is an opportunity for the owner of the Redskins to do something great, to do something amazing, to make history. And that would be if this guy went Galt. And I'm not a big Ayn Rand person. I'm a libertarian, but I'm not really an objectionist or whatever. I think that's how you pronounce that. But I'm not an Ayn Rand type libertarian for the most part. But I like the idea of going Galt. I like the idea that there comes a point when the government, the system, just won't play fair anymore, and the only option is to take your ball and go home. Dog scratching himself in the background there. But the only option is to take your ball and go home. And that's exactly what the owner of the Redskins should do. If I were him, and I realize that there's I guess shareholders or something, I realize he might not completely have the authority to do this, but to the extent that you could, what I would do is I would fire every single employee working for the Washington Redskins immediately. I mean, from the coaches and players to the janitors. Everybody that works for the Washington Redskins is out of a job right away. And then I'd knock the fucking stadium down. Frankly, if I legally thought I could, I'd burn it to the ground, piss on the ashes. Then I'd take the piss pot full of money I have, because let's face facts, he's a wealthy man, no doubt. And I'd go to Brazil, some kind of second world country where you can live comfortably for the rest of your life. Probably something with poor extradition treaties. But I think Brazil would qualify, be at a nice comfy beach in Brazil for the rest of your life, Nazi war criminal style. Get out of the country, because this government don't play by the rules at all anymore. Get the hell out of the country, Snowden style. And then I release a video on the internet and say, since the government will not allow me to protect my brand, I can no longer do business anymore. So the Washington Redskins are gone. Gone. G-O-N gone. They're done. There is no more Washington Redskins anymore. Government didn't like the Washington Redskins because, it made the pussies of a bunch of leftards hurt. Fine. Then there are no more. No, you got your way, government. How about that? Now, first of all, that would put a bunch of people out of a job. And all those people would be mad. And maybe would have the good sense to turn their anger towards the government, the one that caused this fucking problem. But it would really hit some people where it hurts. Because let's face facts. Your average idiot that doesn't watch the news, he watches himself some football. And boy, all them guys in the Maryland, Virginia, and D.C. area that just loves them, the Redskins. Whew, boy. When they come find out that the Redskins are gone, that they don't exist anymore. Man, when you take away my football, now I'm really mad. So, man, the owner of the Redskins, if he just would get a big old pair of chrome-plated balls on this one, he could do so much good right now. But he won't. Because that's the thing about a lot of conservatives. I think he's conservative from what I heard. Which is probably why the government's fucking with him like this. But that's the thing about your mainstream conservatives, and just in general, and that's why they can't deal with these just completely degenerate people like everybody in the Obama administration, because they think the rules still apply. They can't accept that the rules don't apply anymore. And you know what? You see this in the conservatives' absolute fawning over and love of cops and to a lesser extent the military. The cops. Let's focus on cops for a second. Police, by their nature, are an extension of the government, and they're for the most part only going to be, or they're going to be as corrupt and shiftless and out of control as the government. And cops in this country, on many levels, are just out of fucking control. They just are. Now, conservatives don't accept that. Conservatives want to have this Norman Rockwell painting view where the police officers are your friends and shit like that. And whenever I talk about things like police brutality or overreaches of power with the cops, they're like, well, if you hate the cops, who you going to call at 2 in the morning when someone breaks in your house? I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not going to call anybody. I'm going to get my gun out. Because remember, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away. But more to the point, this day and age, if someone's kicking my door in at 2 in the morning, it probably is the fucking cops. Because they got the wrong house, or maybe they just don't like some shit I said on this podcast. You know, so they're going to break in here, wreck up the joint, probably shoot my dog and get away with it. Because, holy shit, cops love shooting dogs. Mostly because the bad cops, at least, are fucking cowards. So the minute a dog barks at them, they freak out and they got to put a bullet in them. You should Google puppycide and police sometime. Ugh, it's just sickening. What kind of person fucking shoots a dog? Fucking dog. How can you not love a dog? I mean, your fellow man, like, being a shitbag to your fellow man is at least borderline understandable. Because most people are assholes, so you're just probably just being an asshole to an asshole. But a dog's about the most fucking innocent, loving thing you can have in this world. You know? Ugh. And the military's the other one. Now, I have a lot of respect for the military. But by the same token, that mostly just extends to the lower level guys. The higher level guys, basically general on up, they're usually trash. I mean, they have to be to be working in this military-industrial complex bullshit. They just have to be. So it's hard for for conservatives to accept that how broken the system is, because they just want to play by the rules. They can't accept the idea of taking your ball and going home. They can't accept the idea that it's this bad, with the exception of the hardcore, like Alex Jones type, semi-libertarian, semi-conservative people. For the most part, your average tradcon in particular, they can't understand how bad the system is. They won't. And that's why stuff like what I suggested to Redskin Leader, they'll never do. They'll never do that. Because they always think they can keep playing by the rules when there are no rules anymore. You know, I said, one of these guys that said that cop thing to me at 2 in the morning and all, I said to him, look, if you still think that, and yeah, sure, there's good cops, but if you still think that you can trust the police as a whole, if you still think that they're your friends, then you know what? I would hope you don't have to learn how foolish that is the hard way. Because they're not. Because the system is broken completely. So I love those MGTOW guys. They know that's how you win at this game. You don't play. You take your ball and go home. Alright, switching gears for a minute. The church I go to, it kind of branched off of another church. It was one of those things like, a lot of the non-denominational churches in this country, they've taken the approach that you should grow like amoebas. You know, the church should grow to a certain size, and then it should split off, you know, into other churches, and then they grow to a certain size, and they split off, so on and so on. Which I think is exactly how it should be. I love that model. But the church, we split off of a church. And then, next thing, like a couple years later, the church we split off of kind of got, for lack of a better term, used the nerd vernacular here from Star Trek, got assimilated by this Harvest Chapel Church, I think. It's a big thing out of Chicago. James McDonald's a guy. It's not even church. It's basically this fucking church ministry empire shit that he's building by just absorbing churches, just grabbing them and turning them into affiliate churches. Borg shit, really. And I don't hate James MacDonald. I mean, he's just, I take some issues with his preaching, but he's just your typical semi-harmless churchianity guy. But so our sister church, for lack of a better term, got assimilated, and then we kind of became like, we sort of ended up part of the James MacDonald thing, but I don't know, it's like there can't be that many churches so close to each other, like physically, like location wise. I forget exactly. It's complicated. We're sort of affiliated with it, and it's I don't mean to bore you with the details, but anyways, been in this church for about 6 years. I think it is. It started, and I've been there since nearly the beginning. Pretty much, yeah, the beginning, and and we've had major divisions over this James MacDonald stuff. We've lost elders. People have been fighting with it tooth and nail. I'm one of the few guys that's like right in the middle. Like, I don't think James MacDonald is the second fucking coming like some of these people, but I also don't hate him. I'm not like, this guy is bad and he should feel bad. It's just, whatever. So I'm one of the few guys right in the middle. But anyways, in the midst of all this fucking turmoil in our church, our pastor up and decides he's gonna move to Malaysia, I think it is, or maybe, yeah, it's not the Philippines. I think it's Malaysia. It's some third world hellhole. I could have the name wrong. He's gonna move his wife, himself, and his 2 small children to this dung hole because he feels called to pastor this new church. Now, a little bit of background on the guy. He did spend some of his childhood in Malaysia because his parents were missionaries. But obviously his kids were born and raised here. His wife hasn't, she's spent almost all her life here in the States. So he feels called by God to go over there. Now, what I think it is, and hey, maybe he's called by God. Far be it for me to put words in the Almighty's mouth, or take him out, I suppose. But I think what this really is he has a damn midlife crisis. There's the monotony of the everyday, combined with the turmoil of people bickering in the church, and then he's suddenly like, I'm gonna go to the third world and help these people. Now, first of all, I think it's stupid because what the hell does he have to offer these people, really? He doesn't know technical. He's not gonna teach some sort of like. He's not going to build a well for them. I don't fucking even know if they need that. But, typical missionary third world shit. He's not a doctor. He's not going to teach them those kind of skills. He's just a man that speaks really good. And a lot of that is lost in the translation to whatever the hell language they speak. But, I mean, it's a Malaysian church. You know what a Malaysian church needs? It needs a Malaysian pastor. I'm sorry. So it makes sense if he was going over for 3 months to train their pastor. But no, this cultural Marxism shit that got in the church where everybody's interchangeable. People are just people. No, people are different. Different people are different. Alright? We have different strengths and weaknesses and different cultural myths and all, and it should be a Malaysian pastor explaining, preaching to Malaysian people. So he's gonna haul these people over. And now we're stuck without a pastor in the midst of all this turmoil. And again, I think he's just spiritualizing a midlife crisis. I don't know how else. And there's all sorts of elements in it. It's almost like white man's burden, but like not nearly as useful as white man's burden used to be. It's basically like, I'm gonna go over there and straighten this shit out for him. You have nothing to offer him. You're just going over there to. And the whole thing got me thinking about just the absolute futility that is the modern mission trip, like the West to third, second world places. There's a girl I've been sort of kind of seeing. I don't stupid. It's an ex-girlfriend that I've ended up having dinner with a couple of times here recently, and I don't know what the fuck we're doing. Honestly, I don't even think I want a relationship with her. I like talking to her sometimes. I think, dare I say it, I'm actually friends with my ex. As amazing as that is. But, and she's considerably younger than me. She's early 20s, I think 22, 23, something like that. And she's all like, telling me, oh, I'm going on this mission trip in August. And I'm like, really? Really? What do you have to offer these people? What you gonna straighten this shit out? Alright, you let me know when you straighten this shit out. Are you a doctor? Are you gonna go build a well for them? Are you gonna go teach motherfuckers to read? No, you're gonna go over there and fuck around. That's what you're gonna do. It's like the churchianity version of the Peace Corps. You're just gonna go over there and fuck around, and all the while feeling really high and mighty and good about yourselves. You know, I was loving on people, and I just praise Jesus, and then I come back. It's just the churchianity equivalent of the secular unchurched girl who goes to, you know, backpack around Europe riding the greasy Western European carousel. You know, I'm a fucking Italian guy, and then a German guy, and then a British guy. That's all it is. It's just a fucking churchanized version of that. Alright? It's just fucking wanderlust. It's just, we're just gonna go over there. It's just, you're just seeking adventure and excitement. That's all the fuck it is. Tell me what the hell these mission trips are accomplishing. This isn't like the old days when, like, you sent a missionary to some fucking, you know, tribal hellhole where they're eating each other and just straighten that shit out. No, that's not what this is at all anymore, okay? Like, I have one guy in my church, and actually he left because of this James McDonald shit, but I'm still close friends with him. Dr. Dave, I call him. Maybe I shouldn't have named him. I don't fucking know. I never know how much information I should give on people I know on this thing. Like, but I'm not saying anything bad about him. Fine. His name, Dr. Dave, I call him. And he like I said, he's a doctor, you know, and he goes over there, to somewhere in Africa. I don't know. You know, pit of ass Africa. I don't know. And he goes over there, and, you know, he does medical work, and he trains doctors. And see, the purpose of mission, from what I can tell at least, the purpose of a missionary thing is supposed to be you go over to these people in need, you offer them something tangible, something practical, something to better their lives. You know, be it a handout, food, whatever, or some sort of training, whatever. And you say, the reason I did this for you is because God loves you, and I'm here to tell you about that. You know, you don't do that bullshit shady thing that some mission things in the past have done, where it's like, you know, learn the Bible and I'll give you food. You don't do that kind of bullshit, and that has happened in the past. Not nearly as much as liberals like to claim, but it has happened. But no, you go over there and you give them you offer them something in exchange for the credibility to preach the gospel to them. That's what a mission trip is supposed to be. You know, and Dr. Dave does that. He goes over there, gives like 2 months of his time each year. You know, he can afford to do it. He has something to offer to him. He doesn't have little ass kids that he's dragging into the midst of this hellhole. Another one is, there's a nurse, and she's not even in our church, but, like, she almost lives full time in like the Philippines, in like the really shitty Muslim-y parts of the Philippines. And she's an older woman. She's probably late middle ages, I'd say, like 50s, maybe 60, I want to say, maybe. I don't know. And she's a nurse, and she goes over there and spends most of her time there, and she's kind of like adopted us as a church for when she comes back to the States, like on her quote-unquote vacation. You know, get out of the damn hellhole once in a while. And again, she has something to offer these people. And more to the point, she's never tried to raise a family in these hellholes. Because, you know, that's the thing. God calls you to something in this world, but he doesn't call you to everything. That's this bullshit modern culture thing where you can have it all. You can be a career woman and raise... No, there's times when you got to pick something. All right? And you go in one door, and it means you don't go in the other. And this woman, she understood that. She said, look, I would have loved to have had a family, but it wasn't for me. God called me to something else. And the wisdom and beauty in that statement when I heard her say that was just amazing. Particularly when I'm trapped around all these churchianity idiots that are breeding kids they have no time or money to care for, or dragging them off to some third world hellhole because you're having a midlife crisis. But this woman and Dr. Dave, they both have something to offer. You know, what does my 20-something-year-old female friend here, what does she have to offer? Not a goddamn thing. What does my pastor have to offer? Not a goddamn thing. Not a thing. Alright, they're just going over there to fuck around. That's all. To make themselves feel better. And I'm sorry, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Been wrong before, probably gonna be wrong again. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't think so. Alright, I think most of these mission trips, they're just fuck arounds. Alright? You're not accomplishing anything. You're not bettering anybody. Maybe you're making a few converts, but you're not making any real inroads into the culture. It's just fuck around time. Alright? It's just, adventure and excitement, and it's a way to just fucking spiritualize it. Okay? Like, I'd love to go see the rainforest, alright? And maybe one day I'll do that. Maybe one day I'll get the money. I'll take a trip, go hiking in the rainforest. You know? Maybe. It's probably the most beautiful, though it is dangerous, most beautiful places on the earth. But I'm not going to be like, well, I'm doing it for God, and I'm going to go find some head-shrinking tribe and no, because I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm not going to go, I'm helping the poor people in Brazil because I made them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Fuck you. No. I'm not going to take my desire to see this exotic place and turn it into a fucking... You know what? Because you know what your mission is in life? You know what? If you are a man of God, if you're a Christian, you know what your missionary, your mission field is in life? It's whatever the hell is in front of you. That's what it is. Okay? It's your life. It's your friends and your family and your job and, God forbid, your calling if you should be lucky enough to have one. That's your mission field, alright? When you go to work every day and you do the best damn job you can, and maybe if you have the opportunity, you talk to people there about your faith, that's your mission field. Loving on your friends and your family is your mission field. I'm sorry to my pastor, but your kids are your mission field more than whatever this third world hellhole you want to go to. And guess what? Those kids are making the greatest sacrifice of all. Because I know he talked to his wife, and his wife's like, oh, I don't know what the fuck the conversation was. But she supposedly wholeheartedly agrees. But you know what? I bet you those kids didn't get a fucking vote. And they're giving up the biggest thing of all there. They're giving up their fucking childhood. And I can tell you, that's irreplaceable. And you know what? Maybe it's going to be worth it. Maybe that sacrifice is going to be worth it. And they're going to get, so much spiritually and all that bullshit out of it. But you know what? They didn't get a choice. They didn't get a vote. They didn't get to willingly make that sacrifice. That was thrust upon them. And maybe it'll turn out, or maybe consciously or subconsciously, God will be the faith will be the thing that took away their childhood. A lot of preachers' kids go hardcore agnostic, hardcore atheist, hardcore God-hating, atheist, because God took away in their mind, God fucked up their childhood, or God took away too much of their father's time, or what have you. And I'm sorry, these kids are making the biggest sacrifice. They don't get a vote. That's kind of sad to me. But yeah, the modern mission trip. I mean, what's it really accomplishing? You know what a church could do for the same amount of money it costs to send some fucking 20-year-old twats over to some third world hellhole to accomplish nothing. You know what a church could do for the same amount of money? Probably considerably less. If the church has got a nice basement, stockpile that shit full of batteries, basic toiletries, toothpaste, toothbrushes, still in the containers, still in the the packaging, mouthwash, soap, towels, clean towels, heaven forbid, maybe even bags of like socks, people, basic emergency shit. And then next time like, twin tornadoes rip a new asshole in Nebraska or Oklahoma or anywhere out in that area, the Dakotas, what have you, send a bus out there and help people that way. Okay, next time a severe thunderstorm wrecks up everyone's shit. Next time Florida gets butt raped by a hurricane. Next time LA gets butt raped by whichever of these areas your church is closest to. LA gets butt raped by riots and fires and earthquakes and all the other reasons people aren't supposed to fucking live in LA. Next time that kind of shit happens, then you be there. And I'm not saying churches don't do that. But that's a better use of your money. That's a better use of your time. You could really stockpile some real shit and you could be there immediately with that stuff. For far less money. For far less. Because let's face facts. I know, everything's possible with God. But there's also the numbers aspect of it, People donate money to the church and the church uses that money, God doesn't always multiply the bread, and the fish and the loaves to feed the whole group. Sometimes he wants you to be doing some basic stewardship. And I'm telling you, far better use of the time. Far better use of the time. Or just simple like community outreaches. Another good use of money, and my church thankfully has done this in the past. I know a lot of churches get, oh boy, Halloween's evil. Next time Halloween rolls around, if your church is anywhere near a residential area where you're going to get some trick-or-treaters, have some volunteers there with some candy, maybe some gospel tracts, hand that shit out. Just simple little shit like that. That's your mission field. Not sending dumb teenage girls or pastors with a midlife crisis over to the other end of the world. That's not your mission field. The Christian that is called to go to the other end of the world to preach the gospel is the vast exception. Especially nowadays that there's the internet and radio and TV. Even in third world hellholes, they probably can get radio and shit like that. Broadcast into their areas. You don't have to send people in. This isn't the 1800s anymore, okay? We didn't have to send somebody in to go preach to the lost tribe of the fucking Amazon or anything like that. So yeah, these mission trips are futile. They're waste of money. They're waste of resources. They're just ways that young Christian girls and guys and Christian guys having a midlife crisis can get their fucking wanderlust on. That's all it is in my mind. I'm sorry, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I really don't. Alright, well, I usually like to end these podcasts on a bit of an up note, maybe a recommendation. So, 2 movies I saw recently in the theater that I love both of them were, the new Godzilla is really good. It's interesting. I guess I'm spoiling some stuff, so if you're dead set on seeing it, you want to hear it, shut off now, I guess, because it's interesting that Godzilla's not the bad guy. He's not the monster, really. He's actually fighting the destructive monsters. It's really, in many ways, not Godzilla's movie. It's about these other monsters, and then Godzilla shows up to fight them, basically. But the acting is great. The special effects are great. I really liked it a lot. I'm not a huge Godzilla fan, but I've always had a soft spot for it. Like, I really like the original, both the original American version, Raymond Burr, and the original Japanese version, Gojira, or whatever. I like both those, actually, a lot. They're classic monster movies. So the later Godzillas I never liked too much. I kind of thought a lot of it got kind of stupid, even by that standard. But I can understand why people like it. And again, really like the original. And this one's damn good. You could start a really good series of movies based off of this. There were flaws. I thought it was silly that... Well, like, at the end, Godzilla kills the monsters, and then, like, everybody praises Godzilla as the hero, like, and I guess that makes sense, but it just seems like, how would most people really know? Wouldn't they just... Most people would just kind of think, oh, that's just another monster. I don't know. I think the public opinion embraced Godzilla a bit too much. Bit too quickly and easily. The other movie I saw, really liked, was the new X-Men movie. Is fantastic. and X-Men movies have been in the shitter since basically X-Men 2. I mean, X-Men 2 was good, X-Men 1 was good. Not great, but good. X-Men First Class was pretty good. The rest of them sucked. And then this one was pretty good. So I would recommend seeing that. If you've kind of felt like, oh, I don't want to see the X-Men movies, they suck, well, go rent First Class. It's pretty good. And see this. It's worth seeing in theater. If you're a kind of guy that at all sees movies in the theater. And I guess one last thing. I just read this article, so it's on my mind. Capcom, which if you're a video game guy like me, at all, you know is up for or is broke, and they're kind of up for sale now. Another company could come in and get the majority stock easily. And I, for one, this is my little prayer to the heavens. Hope it's Nintendo. I think that would be some, especially for a Mega Man fan. I think that would be the best thing. I think there's a petition somewhere online for Nintendo to please buy Capcom, and I think I might sign that tonight because that would be amazing. Well, I'm just rambling on these last couple minutes here. That's my podcast this week, folks. Bechtloff out.